Hello everybody, welcome to Fan Design. My name is Michael Kirby and I'm here with Dimzy's Domain and Shady.
So obviously, as part of Dimzy's domain, although I'm Dimzy, the main chief is Shady, and we cover Digimon, and it's great to be here, Michael. Hopefully, we can
Thank you
talk
for
random
having us.
stuff, fun stuff.
Thank you guys for coming. So the purpose of Fan Design is it's basically fan fiction but for game design. So we're going to be talking about Digimon Rumble Arena and how that game could exist now, what kind of modern mechanics could be brought over, and characters, rosters, gameplay features. So to start things off, I'm going to ask the most difficult question ever to both my guests. Who would be your partner Digimon, or who is your favourite Digimon, and why?
Oh,
Who wants to go first? The tribal chief or Dimzy?
go on, chief.
I'll go on. Of course, it has to be Metal Seedramon. Without a doubt, he's got the best. He's the best looking Digimon. He's both a dragon and the king of the sea. He can spit fire, and whilst he's mate, there's not a better Digimon. There's not a better looking Digimon out there. So yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I would be a bit more basic. I would start with an actual rookie Digimon, probably Devimon. Um, and then if I were to digivolve that Digimon and have them stay at a certain level, I would have Daemon by my side, have him cloaked up. He doesn't get stronger than Daemon, and maybe I'm a bit of a meathead. I just like the strength to it. Now, if I were to try to scare people or just show off in terms of design, obviously you chose Metal Seedramon. I would probably pick. See, I can't think of a better looking Digimon than Meroleramon.
Banana split.
Bro, the mega level Digimon who has a banana split. Yeah, but that's pretty much my pick is pretty much Devimon. And if you were a stronger Digimon, I'll pick Daemon. What about yourself?
Oh, so if you asked me like 2 years ago, I would have said Agumon. But after like rewatching Digimon Adventure to like watch Last Evolution, I'd have to say my heart has grown for Tentomon, and I just love Tentomon. I think he would be my partner Digimon. And like Hercules, Kabuterimon, I mean, that boy is gold. Oh,
He's sacrificing.
Try.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
As good or bad as Try was, some of the moments were fantastic.
Yeah. That one's probably the best moment, in all honesty. In all of time. Yeah.
Is this how you want to be remembered?
Exactly.
And he gets all of them and then just drags them into the bloody portal. But no, that's great. I think Tentomon is probably one of the most underrated Digimon in Digimon.
Very, very.
Absolutely. And like, he's so prodigious. Have to get that in there somewhere.
I like that.
Here's a question. So obviously, we know some of these Digimon have their own attribute. How would you weave that into a game where, let's say, a Digimon is known for its intelligence? Are you going to have certain, like, an intelligence level? Because certain Digimon are kind of like meatheads. And one of the biggest travesties in Digimon Adventure was how Machinedramon was perceived to be a meathead, but he's hands down probably one of the smartest Digimon. So, like, how would you differentiate intelligence in a game, and what would that add to the game?
So, when it comes to like Digimon Rumble Arena, for example, obviously that's like a Smash Bros kind of fighting game. So the intelligence would mainly come from like the AI. And I think a best place for Machinedramon to shine and show off his intelligence as well as his brute strength would be in a boss fight. And I can imagine him being a very epic boss fight. In fact, he's like he's like the go-to like boss guy. Like even in like the new Digimon Adventure 2020, when Agumon Dark digivolves into him, there's that kind of inner fighting with himself, and then obviously you have him appear later on, as well as him being a Dark Master in the original. And I think even in like Digimon Order Next World, which is like a PS4 game, he was like a a villain, or like Digimon were becoming Machinedramons, and he was like an enemy that you had to fight quite a lot. So that's probably a good way to bring in the intelligence and to bring in that factor. When it comes to like, obviously, as Digimon Rumble Arena, as a fighting game, you are playing as that Digimon, so that intelligence is basically yourself. You'll have to like kind of figure out how you're going to take down the enemy and how you're going to like beat them up, so to speak.
Would you add like cutscenes and stuff? Because obviously, like, you know how you have fighting games like Tekken and that. Would you add certain cutscenes that only happen or occur when, for example, when you have an Angemon on one side and you have a Devimon on another side, there could be like a special trigger for a cutscene or special interaction.
So I think like when it comes to cutscenes, especially in like the Digimon games, they have some really beautifully animated Digimon cutscenes. Like if you ever get to see Digimon Cyber Sleuth, which is like definitely hands down one of the greater games of Digimon. Like Digimon has a lot of good games, but they also have a lot of like, you know, games that the fandom don't necessarily want to talk about. But Cyber Sleuth has some really, not all of its cutscenes are animated, but has a few that are like really well animated. And I think even Digimon Survive, which isn't out yet, looking forward to when that does come out, but even that seems to be going down that same route where there's going to be a lot of animated cutscenes as well as a lot of like in-game dialogue cutscenes. So applying that knowledge to like a new Digimon Rumble Arena game, I think that you could have like opening animated cutscenes for sure, but when it comes to like a story mode, for example, that would probably dealt with as in like in-game dialogue cutscenes, and obviously hope that would be a much better story, because that's a very touchy subject when it comes to Rumble Arena, especially the last one, Rumble Arena All-Star Rumble. That was, no one really liked the story because it was very basic. So the story was that it's peaceful in the digital world and the Digimon characters are bored, so essentially they decide to have a fighting tournament.
Basically,
very basic, which like for this Digimon Rumble Arena, if for this kind of fan theory of a game, I think it should definitely draw inspiration from not like the anime, the manga, like bring in some of that Digimon lore that so many people want to see, put it into game, and don't make it the focus of the game, but obviously have its presence be felt in the story if you were to do like a story adventure mode for the game.
I love the fact they touched upon the Digimon lore. So as we all know, the DigiDestined are like a cheat code for the Digimon to get stronger. So they're like a trigger point. Whenever Tiger's in danger, Agumon will get triggered to digivolve further. Like we saw, he digivolved to Blitz Greymon in that different environment. So we have seen that. So will you integrate the DigiDestined into the fights as well? Like, you know how in Super Smash Bros. You'll have, I know Ash doesn't do anything, but you know when Ash throws the ball, throws the Pokeball, and you'll have Charizard fighting, and Ash is there, and you can still see Ash or Trainer Red still there in Smash Bros. During the fights. But will you integrate the DigiDestined in the games as well, and will they have a key role in that?
Well, see, that's actually a really good question, because in the first Digimon Rumble Arena, the DigiDestins were very prominent in the game, because obviously they had like a very small roster, but they had like the different Digimon from Digimon Adventure, Digimon Adventure 02, and Digimon Tamers, and obviously each of their Digimon had their tamers or their DigiDestins there to like kind of support them on and give them a bit of a boost when needed.
Yeah.
So I believe we could implement something like that if this was to be made into a film. I feel like that element could be brought in. But what I think would also be quite cool is to kind of let you create your own DigiDestined. And that way, because especially if you want an expanded roster, which is what a lot of fans want to see in a Digimon Rumble Arena. Not
with all the DigiDestins.
Not every Digimon in the anime or manga has been seen to have a DigiDestined. So, I mean, you could do the customization route and just have your DigiDestined be your own, or you could go down the Pokemon route, for example. And I know that people are probably going to be like, Pokemon and Digimon are the same. Don't worry, guys. We know that Digimon and Pokemon are not the same. But, like, you can't deny that Pokemon's done very well game-wise. And I think you can definitely borrow and take inspiration. And I think if people wanted DigiDestins or Tamers to be present in the game, just have some random, like, non-special. Maybe, if you really wanted to give super fan service, take some of those DigiDestins from O2 that are like all over the world and have them in the game. That would be a really, really cool thing to have. And actually, kind of speaking about, like, kind of going into story, like, what elements do you guys think would be great to kind of bring over? Like, would this be better to be like a continuation of Digimon Adventure, or do you think it could be its own self-isolated thing? So, like, not have direct ties to things, but have like elements brought over and kind of make it its new thing, kind of similar to what Digimon Adventure 2020 is doing. Like, it's its own new thing, but it definitely brings inspiration from a lot of the anime, like not just Digimon Adventure. There's like a few, like the Holy Digimon, that is very from Frontier, for example.
Yeah, exactly. You got a lot of references to Frontier, to all these other seasons as well.
So
they're like more like Easter eggs.
Yeah, in terms of story, something that could be interesting is that if you were to incorporate a story mode, why don't we try to fill in, and we're not directly addressing the gaps, but it could be like a little nod. Why don't we try to fill in the gaps? For example, Rumble Arena is a fighting game. So in 2020, we know that Ogomon almost died and he became Rebellimon. So if there was a way where we saw like the gap, or we tried to fill it in, we had an Ogomon or like a story as your Ogomon and you're fighting all these Digimon and he's slowly able to become Rebellimon, or he's becoming stronger as Rebellimon, because we know with Rebellimon, he takes the data and the junk data and he always self-improves. Or like, why can't we do like a prequel that leads up to the first Digimon adventure? And this is keeping it within the universe and the lore of Digimon. Like, we know that, obviously we don't know for sure about Digimon 2020, but we know that there was DigiDestins before Tai, Matt, and all them. So why don't we try to do a story like that? Or why don't we have a story addressing the initial war with the Digimon, the Holy Digimon versus the Demon Lords? So there's certain events that we can really play around, and it doesn't have to be canon. We don't have to hold ourselves hostage to suit the canon, but take bits here, bits there, and we just play around with it. We know that Digimon Applimon is a complete different ball game in terms of how they're not really Digimon, they're Appmon and such. Just take bits and bobs and have these cameos. There's no harm, and it should be encouraged actually to take from these places and try to fill in the gaps, because it's the fan service that no one is going to complain about.
I think that's what we're crying out for.
Yeah, definitely. And like I guess like secret story that would lead to like who would be the ideal villain, or like what kind of villains would you have? Because in like Digimon Rumble Arena 2, for example, when you played like the single player mode, when you reach the end, you fight a different boss depending from easy to hardest, and then that boss that you fight, you unlock them and be able to play them in the game. But there's like a slow hierarchy to like boss tier, for example. Although Nemon's there, and I wouldn't count him as like an evil Digimon, but he's there. I think he's more like a joke, kind of like, here's Nemon kind of character. So, and when I think of that, I feel like you just mentioned, the Demon Lords, for example, they would be a good thing to lead up to. But I know that there are other kind of like evil Digimon kind of like organizations, like the Dark Masters, for example.
Exactly, yeah. And you got the Royal Knights as well, who are like, they're heroes, but then they're not heroes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I don't know who would be an ideal villain to
For
work up
me,
to.
personally, I've said in all of the reviews we've done a theory video a long time ago as well. I would love to see evil DigiDestined. I would love to see that. We've like the Dark Masters. You've got 4 Dark Masters. Have 4 evil DigiDestined be with the Dark Masters. I would love to see that play out in a story or in a series. I don't know how. I would love to see it personally.
That would be cool. It'd be like taking the Digimon Emperor, but almost having like a Digimon royal family, for example, like an emperor and empress, like kind of like general kind of thing. Like that would actually be quite cool, and that way it has more of like, and that way especially if we bring in like the human tamer aspect to Digimon Rumble Arena, having like evil, like bad Digimon tamers destined, that kind of is really good to play off.
And the main advantage for that is it sets you up story-wise for a sequel, because you're introducing so many new characters which are interesting and original that you can really have fun with it. Like because as Shady said regarding the evil DigiDestined, so what happens, I don't know, a good little cliffhanger could be you destroy all of them, or you cure all of them and you make them good again, but you see one of them is still evil, and that can lead into another story from another game or a DLC pack.
Exactly. And like going from story to now like gameplay, when you talk about Digimon Rumble Arena and a fighting game, it's very difficult not to compare it to Super Smash Bros, because Super Smash Bros is like the king when it comes to like fighting games. But I believe there is a lot to learn, and I think Digimon Rumble Arena, the first one and second one are really good fighting games. They're not the best, but they are good, and I think they could learn or take inspiration from Smash Bros. But give it a Digimon flavor. Just give it a bit of a Digimon kick that makes it stand out. Like, for example, we used to have like Pokemon Stadium. Again, I'm sorry, I don't mean to bring Pokemon up in a Digimon video, but like there used to be like Pokemon Stadium, which was like a Pokemon fighting game that was, and that
basically was
that doesn't exist anymore, especially with like Pokemon Stat being brought back, which is obviously a very old game. So I think like now, especially with so many remasters, now's a good time to bring back Digimon Rumble Arena, especially when you've got continuations of Digimon Story, Digimon World, and then there's like rumors of like a Digimon MMO coming out at some point.
That would be unbelievable.
Which would be, like I said, unbelievable. And obviously you've got Digimon Survive, which is coming out at some point. But like, so there, and it just seems Digimon Rumble Arena is the only one that's being left behind. And you know, we could blame All Star Rumble for that, but I don't think it's dead in the water yet. I think there's still a lot of life, and you can look at the comments section and see so many people want a new Digimon Rumble Arena game. They just want it to be what the fans deserve.
Exactly.
And
quick question: Would you have the crests as well? Like, how would the crests and the the Digimentals, the Armor Digi Eggs, would you have them involved? And how would you have them involved in the fights?
See, now that would be really interesting. And this is what I was talking about, like taking elements from Super Smash Bros, but giving it a Digimon flavor. And like the Digimon Elementals and the crests, they're a really good thing to bring in. And I would almost be tempted. So whatever roster you have, give them a Digimon Elemental Egg or give them a Crest Evolution. And then that way, this game could also be used as an opportunity to showcase new Digimon that we haven't seen before. Because there's a lot of Digimon who are supposed to have crest evolutions or like digi elemental evolutions, but they have never been seen. They are just known about, but never been seen. And this would be a good time to bring them in, but also create new ones and introduce those, especially with like the Digimon card game being so popular and introducing new Digimons that are then being applied to the anime now. That's a good kind of marketing tactic that they could bring over.
Couldn't agree more, honestly.
And
knowing that we got the dark counterparts of the quest as well, that we know of, which we haven't even not seen.
And like,
there's opportunity for so much.
Yeah.
Like when you really think about it, there is so many things they could do. Obviously, when it comes to making games, you can't do everything, and there are limitations to what you can do. But I think there are some solid ideas that they could bring forth into the game and flesh it out a lot more. And speaking about the Digi Evolutions, an idea that I had for like kind of sort out the roster issue, because like in all the other previous games, another main issue people have had is that the roster has always been small, or they've like added in Digimon that are key from the anime and then taken them back out again. And people want more roster, especially when you've got stuff like Super Smash Bros, where they have got such a diverse cast of characters. But the problem with Digimon is that Digimon digivolve. They're not like Mario, where Mario is just Mario, and if he wears a different outfit, that's a different skin. While Agumon is completely different from War Greymon. They are two distinct characters and creatures. And what Rumble Arena has always done is that allowed you to digivolve from your rookie to your Mega or Ultimate, or even in Digimon Rumble Arena 2, let you digivolve from rookie to Champion to Ultimate, and then Mega if that Digimon had a Mega. So what I think would be a good idea is to take the element from Digimon Cyber Sleuth where you could map out how your Digimon digivolves. And I think this is something that the anime is doing really well, where it's expanding that Digimon don't just have one set path. They can digivolve, de-digivolve, and then go a completely different route. Like with like Mimi's Digimon, for example, she was able to get that. I can't remember what the Digimon was called. The one with like the maracas and the...
Yeah.
And I think...
Yeah, in the desert, yeah.
That would be something really good to bring in. And that way you'd have your rookie Digimon. I'd have a big roster of rookie Digimon. But then pick how they digivolve. So obviously you'd have your starter Digi-Evolution. But like in the story mode, you could unlock like new kind of like branches. So that way it expands the character roster, but still keeping it like focused on a group of Digimon. Because obviously Digimon can expand and change and pick different paths, and like you could have like a dark Digi-Evolution path and like the elemental Digimon path and the crest path, for example. And I think that would solve that issue, but also make it so unique for a Rumble Arena game, make it stand out from the past, but also still echoing what happened in the past and still bringing influence from not just the anime, but also the other Digimon games that are existing and doing so well.
I think that's the perfect solution, in all honesty. Honestly, having different Digivolution paths, and I would agree with that.
It
Would you
also
also
give a lot of value and importance to it as well, because that's one way to really add. Okay, this is a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. And then it gives you a reason to play the story mode, because then you get a reward by unlocking. So if you've got a favorite Digimon, you could unlock its path. However, I'm just going to make this really clear, because again, Rumble, All-Star Rumble had it so you had to play the story mode over and over again to unlock every single Digimon. And obviously people did not like that. And I'm not expecting people to replay the whole story mode over again just to get a specific Digimon evolution, because that's a bit more on the grinding side, which, you know, if the story's good, it can make up for it. But if the story's not good, that's not going to make up for it, and people are just going to give up and just walk away. And when it comes to games, you don't want that to happen.
It'll be like the whole Shadow the Hedgehog scenario, where people had to, in order to unlock the final story, you had to complete the game like 10 times, and it's always like, it's really repetitive. The missions are always the same. No matter which path you take, the hero, the good or the evil, the missions are still relatively the same. You're going to have to kill like 50 soldiers, whether you're in the good path or in the evil path anyway. So, yeah, that might, depending on the story, that may also have an effect as well.
Exactly. I think also what they could do is, in the story mode, have you explore the digital world and have like side quests or side battle arena modes, so that way you could follow the critical path and unlock evolutions for your Digimon or for any Digimon. I don't think it should be specific that you should unlock your Digimon. I think it should unlock whichever one that you in the roster. That way you can pick and choose which Digimon you want to play, and then giving it the optional quests and like the optional side missions. Obviously, they wouldn't be missions; they would be like actual arena battle modes. And then when you complete it, you get rewarded with that new branch, and that way you can be, oh cool, and I've got a new branch, I can go and test out. So my Agumon could digivolve to Machine Dramon, for example, rather than digivolving to War Greymon, or digivolve to Blitz Greymon, or any of the other Greymon family line that you could digivolve. And that would be so awesome, and just to see that happen. Going from that, we should talk about the world, the actual digital world. So like, if you've played Smash Bros, if you've played any of the Rumble Arena games, or if you've played any fighter game, there are distinct arena levels that you have. And I think when it comes to Digimon Rumble Arena, they've definitely taken inspiration from like the anime. Because I remember in Digimon Rumble Arena 2, there was like a twisted Toy Town, but obviously that's inspired by Toy Town in the anime, and I'm pretty sure there might have been a Toy Town in Digimon World 1. So is there any like locations from the anime or any of the Digimon material that you think could be perfect to bring over and turn it into like a arena?
One smart thing they can do is, again, when you look at stuff like Tekken, where you have collapsible stages where if you're slammed a certain way, you go down and then you can enter a new stage, which is pretty much completely different. I don't know how they would do it, but somehow it would be cool where if you can break the bottom of a certain arena, and this could be like a generic, let's say, sunny place in the digital world, when you break it and then you fall into the dark ocean.
Yeah.
So like, if you remember, was it Tekken Tag Tournament? You had a character called Unknown. Do you remember her? And then she used to be covered in ooze, and there was this weird little spectre wolf thingy behind her. But the point was, the way the ooze was sticking on her body, and the stage was in a very, again, a dark ocean-like place. That would be really, really good. And you could have the Splashman all looking with their eyes in the background. It's a way to kind of
Splashman
add so much personality. And another one I would say for more recent times, again, as Shady mentioned, when Metal Greymon evolved to Blitz Greymon, it was in this weird little pillar where there's a lot of lightning. So like those kind of places from the Digimon 2020 anime, you could have the tree where they have the knowledge. You could have this little place where there's a lot of lightning. You could have the spa where Joe and such had his episode. There's a few places where you can really make that into a stage, and I think it will be quirky, and there'll be enough interaction from the environment, from the actual place itself. That'll be fun. Imagine you have to avoid a certain place because you're going to fall into a hot tub or a sauna. Yeah, I
And then
think
Shogun
making,
Gekkomon, you have to run away from Shogun
or he's,
Gekkomon.
or he's gonna lick you and make you his bride. Yeah,
Yeah,
like there's so many opportunities to make these collectible stages or stages from the digital world. Heck, let's go to even the movie from Last Evolution Kizuna. Are you telling me that crystal-like empty arena
yeah.
wouldn't be amazing? And that could be a very minimalist yet aesthetic scene.
That
You could even
That's the perfect
so
stage
many
for a final
examples.
boss fight.
oh, that would
So
be
many players.
so pretty to see, especially in like current gen games as well. And
Yeah.
I like the fact that you went straight to like kind of like having environment hazards or having like kind of this dynamic feel to the stages. And this is something that, going back to Smash Bros, does very well. Like stages change and shift depending on how you interact with environment. I think even
Infamous or something.
Injustice,
Injustice,
that's
yeah.
it.
that's it.
And they have those kind of like environment hazards, dynamic stages as well. So like you could punch evil Superman, for example, into the Phantom Zone and then get beaten up and then thrown back out into the stage. You could have stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which
Dark
would,
Ocean.
yes, like the Dark Ocean, have the little silhouette of the Digimon that we were denied in O2.
Dargomon. Dargomon.
Yeah, just
That's it.
just in the background, you see that
Yeah.
exact same silhouette from
Yeah.
that episode in season 2.
With the epic
Yes.
music playing.
Yeah, no, that's another thing. They can actually have the music that is maybe not the same, but like a rendition of, because each of these places which are iconic have their own little OST or the tune to it,
Yeah.
and there's so much things they can do. Man, they need to
With
make
the-
this game. Michael, make the game.
Yeah. And another thing with the world, there's so much you can actually do. Like in each episode of just the first 2 seasons alone, they go to so many different environments. Like, I don't know if you guys remember the episode where, Arukeniman invited all the DigiDestined to that house. And she had little
Yes.
traps in their house. And there was a time where Dokukuman trapped all of them in that little wardrobe. And Dokukuman was about to eat them in that little wardrobe. I don't know if you guys can remember.
Yeah, that was
Stuff like that. Stuff like that. Like that I would love to see in the stage.
Yeah, you know what? I agree. I prefer that because, obviously, as much as we would love the Dark Ocean and such, having these small little tidbits, which are really Easter eggs to the hardcore fans or to the
Exactly.
fans, I think that's more wholesome. That's more nice than, okay, guys, let's do it in, yes, the Dark Ocean, or let's do it in so and so in Odaiba. Although they should do Odaiba.
100% they should do Odaiba. 100%.
But wouldn't it be quite cool where, imagine for whatever reason you're shrunk down, yeah, and you're in like a giant version of the Yagami household, like how we saw it in the first Digimon movie, where it was so amazing seeing Koromon bouncing up and Botomon bouncing around in the house, and you have like a giant car in the back chasing you. There's so many things that are quirky that you could do to make the environment really. Because look, let's be blunt about it. The gameplay, if it is going to be a battle game, it's just like Smash Bros. It's just a very meat-headed bang, bang, bang. So if you want to make the environment as dynamic and as interesting as possible, you're really elevating the game to a level which, whoa, you're going to be able to get the hardcore fans and get the casual fans and just get the casual gamer on board.
Exactly.
exact. No, I 100% agree with that. And like, there's one stage I know that they would have to have in, and it would be that kind of like network environment, because not only is it in the Reese anime, but it's definitely a style choice that is applied in other games as well. And I think that would be, it would be a very like abstract and very interesting
yes.
environment. In fact, if they didn't even use it as a main stage, I would use it as like a training stage, like a holographic like training stage. That would be really cool. So you can like test out your moves and test out all these Digi-Evolution line branches that you have unlocked through the story mode. See, it's all coming together.
Slowly but surely, mate. Slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely. And I guess like the multiplayer aspect, which is something we haven't spoken about yet, which is kind of crazy. And this is something else that the fan base really wants to see, is to have online multiplayer, because the last one came out during a time where online multiplayer was a thing, and for some reason they just didn't do it. And I feel like it's such a missed opportunity, and especially now where so many games have some sort of online feature, you've got to have online multiplayer for the next Digimon Rumble Arena game, and having that kind of like online tournament would be really, really needed.
You're going to have to nerf to some capacity. For example, you need to make all champions similar in Battlefront, because obviously, if you have all the champions and you've got Anjuman, we all know who's winning. So if they can find a way to kind of nerf or equal out the stats, that would be amazing.
That is something that they would need to balance it out so that it's not super unfair. So if you're like a rookie against like 4 other megas, however, like Digimon Rumble Arena 2, even when you were a rookie, you were still able to take down a mega. It was super difficult, but it was still possible. And I think having that would be really, really great. Or having like the mega be on like a time limit so that it runs out after a amount of time.
Yes.
That way you
Look
limit it.
look at another Bandai game, Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball. Yeah.
You have that time limit. You can be Super Saiyan for a bit, then Super Saiyan 2, and then Super Saiyan 3, and it's very limited. And with every movement or every attack, it takes away, eats at the time limit. Just imagine where you can only become War Greymon and probably have the chance of 1 Terra Force or one move, or maybe 2 or 3 moves, and that's it.
I think what Dimzy mentioned there is really smart. With in the Budokai 3 game, in Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3, Super Saiyan, the Gogeta, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta had a really brief time limit, maybe like 20 seconds. And in that game as well, Goku would digivolve to Super Saiyan 3. However, if he gets hit a lot, and if his life bar is really low, he would decrease and deform back to his rookie stage, which is his normal Goku form. Maybe you can implement that into Digimon.
It makes sense. Because why is the main reason why Digimon stands out from Pokemon? Because they don't, when they digivolve, they're not stuck. They can go back down. They can go back up. And that is literally the biggest difference, in my opinion, from the wider perspective of Digimon, where there's autonomy amongst the line. And this mechanic, which Shady just really expanded on, is the perfect way to make it even out.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, agreed. I think that would be amazing. Fingers
After this
crossed.
video, they listen to the video, they'll understand how much of an opportunity it is, and they'll go with it. And then you get credited, you get some royalties, and you become the lead game designer.
Exactly. Hopefully.
Well, that would be a dream come true.
That'd be amazing. Hopefully. Never know.
So I think that is pretty much like every single bullet point that I've got listed. Unless there's anything else that you guys feel like that we could cover.
No, I reckon, honestly, I didn't expect this to be such an expansive and expansive topic. It was a great idea, and hopefully, they can take some ideas. But this is a fantastic video series you have going on.
Thank you.
I'm very grateful that you brought us on.
Thank you for having us. Honestly, thank you.
No, I'm more than happy to discuss Digimon, and thank you guys for coming on and making this video what it is, because without you guys this video wouldn't exist essentially. So thank you guys for coming on and having this discussion about a subject that we're all just really passionate about. And
yeah,
I would love to see a new Rumble Arena game, whether it's takes elements from this or whether it's something completely something we didn't expect. And I'm so glad that you said that like this is such an expansive topic. But when it comes to like game design, there are so many things to discuss. There are literally like even avenues we haven't discussed and we wouldn't have time to discuss because there's so much to consider. But like having the core topics like the story, the gameplay, the characters, like even like the music which Dimzy mentioned, that is something it's so good. And I would love to see like to have File City be a stage, and even to have the File City music from Digimon World 1, because that's like, I know that's like a really beloved music from like Digimon World, and it's been remixed a few times in other Digimon games, so to have that would be magnifique.
Chef's kiss right there, yeah.
Chef's kiss right there. Okay, so before we finish, do you guys want to like say where people can find you?
Ooh, all right then. I would say if you want to check us out, check out our YouTube channel at Dimzy's Domain, where we talk about Digimon. It's primarily Digimon at the time. We've spoken about Yu-Gi-Oh, Dragon Ball, and plenty other topics. Quite easy, we're quite fluid in what we talk about. Obviously on Twitter is if you want to talk to us on a more casual level, just chat to us. We're quite active. So again, at Dimzy's Domain. If you are interested in Shaman King, because I know a lot of people are fans of this very niche series, check out another channel that we do. It's called Shaman Tribe. And we're just, again, covering Shaman King, the old anime and the reboot anime. So we like the anime sphere quite a bit. And hopefully we expand on that.
And the links to those will be in the description down below, so people can go and pop over and subscribe and check your guys' content out. I strongly recommend, if you're a Digimon fan or an anime fan, to check these guys out, because these guys do a lot of hard work and they are so good in what they do. So a big shout out to them and to check their stuff out.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And also, like, if you guys are interested in game design or interested in games in general, then obviously subscribe to my channel and give it a like and hit that bell icon for notifications about future content. And also let me know how you guys have found this video, because I've got quite a few ideas to do more stuff like this. And obviously if this is well received and people like this, then I'll be more than happy to continue this type of content. So that is everything from myself and from my lovely guests of honor.
Take care.
Take care.
Thank you.